Chickens coming home to roost. Karma is real. This is Dr. Kimani, licensed clinical psychologist, and I wanted to talk about how people can do wrong in the workplace and it eventually will come back to them. So, when I've talked about the experiences and how it impacts Black women in the workplace, I want us to be mindful that let us not expend any energy trying to get back at people or prove that somebody just because karma is going to come back and get them. Now, I'm not saying don't file a lawsuit. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is if you're in a situation, a toxic job, and you are really racking your brain trying to figure out how is it that people can keep doing things to people in the workplace, particularly other Black women, and not there's no consequence to it. Now, I've talked about before because the whole system is toxic. So that's why there's no real consequence. So if you think about I'm going to, get all this information and I'm going to take it to my employer and I'm going to take it to human resources so this person can get in trouble, you're probably fighting a losing battle. So again, I've talked about HR. I've had people who have previously worked in HR, currently work in HR, and they've talked about being very mindful of when you go to HR, being empowered in terms of what HR can or cannot do, and recognizing that HR is made up of people. So if the people within the organization are also engaging in toxic behaviors, they are going to maintain the toxicity in the environment and they're not going to check the workplace bully. If anything, they're going to circle the wagons and protect the workplace bully and then try to do something to you. So now you are seen as the enemy. So I wanted to talk about this because every now and then I've resigned from that toxic job about over a year ago. But every now and again, I will see or hear reminders of the job. So as I talked about before, healing is a journey. So even though I'm in a much better place than I was before, I have come a long way in terms of not feeling the degree of pain that I experienced at that work at that job. Because when we think about toxic jobs, many times it is a form of workplace trauma. So let us say and acknowledge that we have been harmed. It's okay to acknowledge that. You may not want to acknowledge that to people at your job, not just out and about, right? But you need to sit with yourself, pause, and think about ways that you may have been harmed and try to get the support that you need. So again, I'm in a much better place in terms of accepting that that part of my life is over, even though I have grieved the loss of the work that I was doing and even some of the colleagues I really liked there. I've grieved the loss of that. I'm still grieving the loss of that. So I'm more in terms of the acceptance stage of grief. But I do want to share something with you in terms of another reminder of how karma is real. So again, I try to limit my conversations about the old job, or I don't really talk about or stay connected in terms of like the ins and outs and all the ongoing drama. And I mean, but what I do know is for people who are still there is that conditions really haven't improved all that much because again the system is toxic. So I want to just share examples with you of how you may even leave a job but you will find out later how karma is real. So I'm just going to lay this out for you. So recently I found out that one of the major workplace bullies, who was a man, I didn't have direct contact with him, but this man had really harmed a lot of people in the workplace and was very arrogant about it and all that, and kind of seemed to think that he could just walk over people and hurt people without any real consequence. Well, I found out recently that he was stripped from this so called powerful position that he had and he was put in another position because he was involved in an inappropriate relationship with another employee. So you know what that means, right? So just think about that. So he's going out doing everything he wants to do and causing harm to so many other people and engaging in inappropriate behaviors, probably thinking that he's not going to get caught. But again, it comes back and gets him. So now he's not in that same cushy so-called powerful position. That's one. Number two, I recently found out from a good friend of mine who previously worked at the toxic job too, that the workplace bully that I reference so much, this person who has a history of being very cruel to others, harming others in the workplace. I will call this person like a soul crusher. Okay. So this person has a history of engaging in this behavior. And I've talked before about my own struggles with not understanding how is it that someone who has a history of engaging in workplace bullying and other negative behaviors, unprofessional behaviors, how is it that this woman is not, there's no consequence to that? And I would spend my mind trying to figure this out. But what I didn't realize is that I don't know the connections that this woman has with other people because the system knows that she was engaging in these behaviors because multiple people have come forward and reported her. So if the system wanted to do something about it, they would have done it. And in fact, not only was she not checked or real consequences, even though there was a lawsuit against her. One of the women that I interviewed on my YouTube channel, and I'll put her interview in the description section, there was a lawsuit in relation to this woman. Still, not only was she remain at the job, but she was actually promoted. So just think about when you're promoted or when she was promoted, she had a greater level of influence over more people, which again shows you that the system is toxic. So anyway, I found out recently from a friend that this woman was leaving the district. And first, when my friend told me this, when she said the woman's name, I said, we don't say her name because I don't want this woman's name in my house, even though she's not here. Not that I fear her, but I don't want that negative toxicity associated with her name in my house. So I'll tell my friend, we're not going to say her name. Okay. And so then she started telling me just a little bit. She's leaving the district. I didn't even ask her why, what happened, because I don't care. I really do not care. So I'm able to hear that information because of where I am in my healing journey in terms of the grief process. I really do not care. The only thing that I'm grateful for is that this woman could no longer terrorize other people in the workplace. Okay. But again, karma is real. Then, shortly after that, I am looking at I was going to send a text message to someone who I'm still friends with at the former place of employment. And she had texted me a while ago. I didn't see the text. And she texted me a while ago about a psychologist who had filed suit against the same employer that we worked at, right? And so I'm going to put all of these links about these lawsuits about my former employer in the description section. I'm going to do that just so you can see again, karma is real, and also to raise awareness. Because what I noticed was when this woman sent me this one article and I was talking about it with someone else, she tells me about a different case. And then somebody else tells me about a different case. None of us knew that this stuff was happening. So this may be happening in your workplace too, where sometimes things are kind of swept under the rug, like a settlement, and there might be a non-disclosure agreement signed. So people are silenced. But these three that I just recently heard about, they're just out in the media right now. So there's no attempt to limit the amount of information. And so I want to share this information with you in the event that you might want to take legal action. So I have another video where I talk about why I didn't sue, and I'll talk a little bit in terms of my own rationale for not suing. Even though I had pages and pages and pages of documentation, which I still have, and I considered suing. However, I was in that moment of my life, I was in the middle of another lawsuit, and I could not imagine being in another lawsuit. I cannot imagine going through that with this thing too. Okay. So I am fully supportive of people who choose to take legal action. I think it's amazing. I praise you for that. I do want you to be aware, however, that lawsuits do take a toll. So you need to be prepared as you go into a lawsuit, that it takes a lot out of you. And the hope is that you have the emotional support for you as you are going through that journey. But I commend you if you are taking legal action because it helps employers be put on notice that you cannot keep treating people like this. And if you treat people like this and you collude with the bully or the bullies, you will end up having to pay. And or your organization will have a very negative reputation. So again, I'm just going to go over just a few of the more recent cases that I found out about, right? So as I said before, I already knew about one Black woman who I interviewed before, former at my former employer, and she got a settlement. I recently encountered another Black woman who did sign a non-disclosure agreement, got a settlement from the district. Okay. So the three articles, which again I will put in the description section, and hopefully this will help you in terms of maybe the decision making process of, do you want to seek legal action? Do you want to consult with an attorney? Okay. So the first article, and I'm going to read the title, but I'm not going to say the full title because I don't want to say the former employer because whatever. Okay. So, but you can put the pieces together. So I used to work for the second largest school district in the nation. Okay. So I'm not going to say the name, but you can figure it out. Okay. So the first one was psychologist alleges racism in the school district forced her resignation. And what was so sad about this case is that I had actually talked to this woman before, I think, or maybe during, as I had recently talked to her prior to me resigning. And she had sought me out because I think another friend had told her that I was having some difficulties. Now, she was a school psychologist. I was a clinical, well, I still am a clinical psychologist, but that was my role in the district. So we weren't under the same department. However, she sought me out and wanted to talk to me about what she was going through. And at the time that she talked to me, I was in the middle of going through it too. So basically, all I could do was just support her, validate her, offer her words of encouragement. This is the same woman who has filed suit. Okay. So that's the first. The second article. So again, so I'm looking at my text. I see this text in terms of this article. And then when I talk to another friend, she sends me a different article. And this one is esteemed, and in the name of the school district, employee sues district alleging racial discrimination harassment. Then after that, again, I hear from another friend and this is all within a short period of time. Judge rules, and again, name of the school district, Muslim employee suit can proceed to trial. So all those, I'll put all those articles in the description section, but I wanted to talk about this because you may be trying to weigh if you want to seek legal action. Hopefully, if you can read up on these cases, maybe it will help you in terms of deciding if you want to maybe even do an initial consult with an attorney to see, do you have a case? What do they advise for you? Are they contingency only, which means that they will not get paid upfront. They will only get paid if you get paid, and they'll take a percentage of your settlement. Okay. So it might be worth doing that. But the main takeaway that I want you to get from this discussion or my talking to you is when we get wrapped up in the situation at a toxic job and we are trying to um, or we feel that what has been done to us was wrong and we are trying to question, how can people get away with this? We are trying to figure out, how do we get our papers together, our documentation together, so we can go to HR, report this person, and this person needs to get a consequence. Or you just might be spending a lot of your mental energy trying to figure out, or just wrapped in or consumed with this feeling that you've been victimized and this person needs to be taught a lesson, all that kind of stuff. I invite you to release that. If you're not seeking legal action, I invite you to release that perhaps in therapy, and then knowing that karma is real, right? So as Malcolm X talked about, the chickens are coming home to roost. The chickens are coming home. They will get what they put out there. Okay. So karma is real. Let us not spend that time, because that time is valuable time for you to think about your plans, to think about taking care of yourself, to start thinking about your own healing journey. So please don't give your power away and waste time with that. know that karma is real. I just want to come on and talk to you just some brief examples for me that confirm that, even though I believe that already. But these are more recent things that confirm that for me. And if you choose to take legal action, check out, and your attorney will probably already figured this out too in terms of research, if there's other people who have also filed suit. So again, when I'm looking at all this stuff, when my friends who are still at the district or maybe have recently left the district, when we're talking, we're like, this smells like a civil suit. Okay, so stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that. So again, be mindful of taking care of yourself. Do what you need to do. If you decide to take legal action, I want to fully support you with that. But also be aware that taking legal action can be stressful too. So make sure you have a wellness plan in place for yourself as you are seeking legal action. Okay. So I'm signing off. And as I am healing and still going through my process of grieving, I'm in a different place now. I think I'm more in terms of acceptance now. But I wanted to talk to you because even though I've left that toxic job, and to show you that even though I left over a year ago, there's still reminders that come up in terms of what I've gone through and what other people are still going through or have just gone through. And it is infuriating. It is infuriating. But I'm channeling my anger, my rage about this and about the system being toxic because if you think about you're in the school district, you would want people to be well so they can provide the best for students. You would think that. That makes sense, right? So again, I am channeling my inner Harriet so that in the hopes that I can help you channel your inner Harriet to leave and heal from a toxic job. Again, my videos are talking about experiences that I've had, other Black women are experiencing or have experienced, so that you can start self reflecting. And when we think about leaving a toxic job, it's generally a process, a journey. Most of us don't wake up one day and say, I'm out, even though we want to. Most of us don't do that. So, watching my videos might be a way for you to take those baby steps to get yourself together, to get your mind together, right? Because the biggest part of leaving is really addressing your mindset. All the other issues in relation to concerns about money, where you're going to find another job, all that deals with your mindset. So, how do you get your mind right so that you are in the position to leave, get another job, start your business, do whatever you need to do so that you ensure that you have money? Okay, let's not just fall into the fear responses of if I leave, I'm gonna be homeless. Let us not do that. Okay. So again, if you are interested in more information or more videos like this, please give this video a thumbs up. It lets YouTube know that you are appreciating this information. If there's other content that you would like for me to cover in relation to Black women leaving and healing from toxic jobs, please note that in the comments section. Also, as I am channeling my inner Harriet, as I'm lifting, as I'm climbing, as I'm going through my healing journey, I'm asking you to also reach out to help not only yourself, but also to help other Black women who may be in similar situations. So you can do that by just giving her words of support. You can share with her resources that I have in the description section of this video. And you can also share this video with her. Okay. So I'm signing off and I will talk to you later. Take care. Bye bye.